sell you?
No, I know a cow.
You're not a cow? Are you for sale?
No.
Who can I sell?
Hello? You want to say? I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. This should be really positive tonight. I hope there's not any haters here. We need to get together. We've got the best market we've ever had, even with this downturn. If we lose this negativity, this could go back up. We've all got to get on the same page and support each other. There's very few of us. Let's go. Let's make this better, not worse. The Cattlemen's Association's here to put this on. Let's have a good time. Let's learn some stuff. Let's figure out how to make some money. The door's wide open for us. Let's go. Michael's going to open with prayer.
If you would, join me in prayer this evening, please. Good evening, Father God. We want to thank you so much for the beautiful evening that you've created out here in Beaver. It's so good for us to be here together. We want to thank you for the freedoms that we have in this country to assemble and get together and enjoy each other's company, encourage each other, learn from each other, and share a good meal. And we want to thank you for that meal, the hands that prepared it. Father, we're just so blessed to be in an industry that we love, but we ask that you give us wisdom to steward your resources wisely, always to the benefit of your glory and to your people. We love you so much, Father. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Troy Marshall with the American Angus Association. Is that correct, Troy? Did I get that right? Excellent.
Well, thank you. I'm not going to take a lot of time. We're just really excited. We wanted to announce that we're going to be hosting a sale here at Beaver County Stockyards on January 27th. The first one that we've had that's going to be an Angus Link only sale. And to give you a little bit of idea, I guess take a step back when you look at this cattle market too and what Jeff had said. It's pretty exciting times in this industry, and what we have done and what you all have done, I should say, from a beef demand standpoint with the quality of cattle and the improvement in quality that you've created is pretty impressive. Looking back just since about 2000, we had about 40% of the cattle in the U.S. cattle supply that were grading select. And at that time, we had a CAB acceptance rate of about 12.6% type thing. Today, 36% of the cattle or 37% of the cattle are going CAB or higher, and that select cattle is down to 12%. And when you compare that to beef demand and what we've done by putting a better quality product in front of these consumers, I was really impressed with Cattle Facts when they took it back to the demand lows of 1998. If we were at those levels today, we'd be $800 less on a per head basis, which is what we've done from a demand standpoint. So it's really exciting. And with that, the Angus Link program, I'll tell you a little bit about that and why we're having this sale, was, as many of you know, there's really good cattle out there. There's reputation cattle that we've always had that we've sold, but there hasn't been an objective, reliable way of describing the genetic merit in independent feeder cattle for the most part. And so we've always tended to sell those cattle all at one price or haven't differentiated them very much in the marketplace. And that was always one of my frustrations. As a seed stock producer, we'd sell bulls from 3,000 to 30,000 on any given day. We were differentiated on value all the time. As a cattle feeder, we sell them on a grid, and it's not uncommon to see now $1,500 difference between value of cattle and with independent cattle. And of course, with certified Angus beef and all the branded programs and the stuff with the retailers, everyone in our business is selling on a value-added basis and differentiating based on the value of their genetics, with the exception of the cow-calf guy, who is the most important person in the system, is the one who controls the factory and is making those investments and putting the management in those cows. And so what the Angus board did a couple years ago was come together and say, we want to try to address this. We want to keep price discovery, price transparency at the forefront, but we want to give an opportunity to let these people reap the rewards for the better genetics that they're producing. And so we've created the Angus Link program. It's basically Angus Verified, which all of these cattle in the sale will either be Angus Verified or out of the Genetic Merit Scorecard. Angus Verified, so that they're 100% out of Angus sires, so registered bulls. The Genetic Merit Scorecard is kind of the second part of that. They don't have to be 100% Angus sired. They can be good Charolais, Black Nose, whatever, Civ Angus, etc. But the thing with the scorecard is it gives a beef score, a grid score, and a feed yard score. And one of our partners that buy a lot of our cattle in Kansas the other day, when he was talking about it, he said, the thing that the scorecard does is it just gives me the confidence to be able to pay a premium for those calves. And we are really excited that Beaver, who is pretty committed to capturing as much value as they can for everybody here, really are committed to helping transform this cattle market, or making the commitment to put on what will be the first Angus Link sells all. Just to give you an idea, those cattle to get signed up, the cost of that's about $3.50 per head. Looking at over the last 2 years and about 140,000 head we sold with the scorecard this last year, average premium compared to Cattlefax's market price has been about $20 per hundredweight, or about $136 per head. So I'm pretty confident to say that the $3.50 investment is something that'd be worth it. And all we need is a starting date for your calving season, and the end date of that calving season as well, and then the bulls that sired that calf crop, the registration numbers of those bulls. And so really in about a 10 to 15 minute process, we can get it started and get you involved there. And then we will promote that cattle along with Beaver and stuff here. And as Al, it's one in being able to describe the cattle, and then the big part of that too is just to amplify the marketing and voice out there so we can get the right cattle in front of the right people at the right time. And we're really excited about the Angus Link sale January 27th. I've got some brochures I'll have here if you want to learn more about the Angus Link program. And we'll be working with Beaver and some of them to get the information out on the sale as well. But that's pretty much my quick spiel. Anybody have any questions on that? Oh, yeah. So it is a third-party verification. We work with IMI Global through that. So it's just a matter of giving us a call or IMI directly, and they'll get the ear tag sent to you. And that's really the cost of the $3.50 I mentioned, is the EID and agent source verification. That is a USDA PVP. There is no cost for the Angus Verified in the scorecard. So. Yeah. Part of this too is just on the traceability standpoint too. We're excited, like National is actually paying a premium for all the cattle that do have a scorecard, for example, and they have to be able to track those cattle through when they read those EIDs as well. So any of those cattle you sell to any of those yards that sell through USPB, they get additional $10 per head premium, or $5 depending on the score on those cattle as well. And it really is just a way to be able to trace those cattle back so those buyers have confidence that they're actually buying the cattle, that the scores in the cattle match up. So, thank you.
Thank you, Troy. My name's Kyle Barbie. I'm the Northwest District Vice President for the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association. I'm right here in Beaver, so if any of you have anything that you need, or any concerns, any questions, comments, please don't hesitate at all to contact me anytime. I'm here to represent you and represent this industry, especially in this area, and I'm here to work for you all. I want to thank the Slatons for opening up the sale barn for us, letting us have this get together. I really appreciate it. Just like they work for you for selling your cattle to the top dollar, OCA really works for you to make sure that you can do that livelihood, that legislation doesn't keep you pigeonholed, that you have the freedom, whether it's water, whether it's land, that you can do what you do best and raise a good product. So OCA is working for you on the legislative level, and anything we can do to help. We do have Representative Patskowski here tonight. We want to appreciate him and all he does there at the State House for us. Let's give him a round of applause. Senator Murdoch couldn't be here tonight, but he gives his best regards. And again, I'm sure both of those men are willing to help you out as well. Again, we want to thank American Angus Association. Thank you, Troy. They also help sponsor us. And I'd invite Jason Heath to come up with Livestock Nutrition Center. And they're also a sponsor as well.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank the Slatton family for having us out here tonight. Awesome facility, awesome job marketing the cattle the way that you do. Unbelievable job with the social media. I think that's brought us about as much attention to this market as anything that it has. Because how many views did you say that you get a day? Yeah, 200,000 views yesterday. You think about how much attention, good attention, that's bringing to our market and to our product. I think that's awesome. I'm here representing LNC. I'm a sales representative for Livestock Nutrition Center, along with Kevin Ming and Gifford back there in the back. We've got locations, 17 locations across the central part of the United States, ranging from Lexington, Nebraska, down to the central part of Texas and over to Arkansas. Our job is to help you maximize your genetic potential in your cattle. And you can say it any way that you want to say it, but that's our job. We've got multiple nutritionists on staff, and you call us, we will tailor a program fit for you. And whether that's wheat cattle, whether that's cow-calf program, we've got products ranging from our RangeMax 28 cube, which is a 3/4 28% protein cube, DDG cube that we make ourselves. We take pride in that. It's an extruded cube, all the way down to blending feed for your weaning products, to your creep feeds, whatever your need is. I like to think of it as us trying to use a sniper rifle approach than a shotgun. A lot of feeding programs will be a shotgun. They'll try to take one product and fit it to multiple applications. What we do is we try to tailor a program for you and your cattle. And we've got enough cattlemen on staff that we can kind of feel pretty confident in doing that. So anything that we can do, anything that Ryan Gifford or Kevin can do to help you do that and help you maximize your potential, be more than happy to do it. We're proud to help feed you all tonight, take pride in that too, and giving back to the people that help supply us with jobs. So thank you all very much. Thank you all again for having us out here.
Thank you, Jason. With that, we're going to start with dinner. If you would, everybody make your way, and we'll get our plates there in the cafe and then come back out here and eat dinner. Just help yourself. Thank you all. Yeah.
It must not be very good, huh? I saw who cooked it.
Jerry, where can I put this? Can everybody hear me? We're going to go ahead and get started. If you're eating, please continue. That way we can get everybody home at a decent time. I'd like to thank our sponsors, our other sponsors this evening, National Livestock Credit Corporation. They're unable to be here today, but National Livestock Credit offers complete cattle financing, whether you are a cow-calf, stocker, or feeder operator. At National, they are solely focused on the cattle industry and serving cattlemen across Oklahoma. If you need cattle financing, check them out at nationallivestock.com. Our next sponsor is from Farm Credit Association of Western Oklahoma, Matt Trinham.
Thank you. As he mentioned, my name is Matt Trinham. I'm with Farm Credit of Western Oklahoma. I'm in the Guyman office over here, along with Wes Fitzgerald, who came from Guyman with me. I also have an office in Beaver, an outpost office that I come to one day a week. I come over here on Tuesdays, and then I'm in Guyman the rest of the time. And also with us, we have Chris Stedman and Kelsey Jo Long. They're from our Woodward office. So Farm Credit of Western Oklahoma, we're the largest agriculture lender in all of Western Oklahoma. We have 9 different branches. We cover pretty much the entire western half of the state, all the way from Tuttle, Anadarko, Altus, Alva, Guyman, Woodward, Elk City, Clinton. And anyways, we understand agriculture. Most of us are involved in agriculture, and it's what we do. And so we know that, and if there's ever anything we can do for you, we'd be glad to visit with you. We do all kinds of ag loans, real estate, equipment, cattle, anything in between. So that's it. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Next up is Heather Buckmaster with the Oklahoma Beef Council.
Thank you. How's everyone doing this evening? I have to tell you, this is my 3rd time out to the wonderful town of Beaver, and it's been awesome the last 4 weeks, 3rd time. So I feel like I know my way into town now. But I want to thank the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association for the opportunity to be here this evening. And I'm just going to go over a couple of things. First up, let's talk about promotions. We've been doing multiple e-commerce promotions over the last year. And in the last 12 months, I am proud to tell you that we have helped drive more than $10 million worth of beef sales through major retailers through e-commerce. And what's so cool about it is, and I'm going to pull out my phone here, today about 70% of consumers are now, oh shoot, I'm sorry, I got a light on. But 70% of consumers today are shopping on their phone, or they're shopping for groceries online. And so what does that mean to us? That means we have an awesome opportunity when they're shopping to make sure those beef ads are popping up and reminding them to have beef. And so our investment on this was pretty minimal. Our return on investment was over $500 for every dollar we invested in the promotion. But what I thought was most important out of these promotions is that we're seeing new shoppers to the beef category. So these are people that were already shopping for groceries. They just hadn't purchased beef because they're a little nervous about purchasing beef when they can't see it. I mean, let's be honest, it's the most expensive protein that they're purchasing, so they want to be able to see it. So I feel like for every new shopper we're driving to the beef category to purchase groceries online, that's a big win for us, because that means they're not afraid to buy. I want to make sure that shopping cart, that little shopping cart on the website where you see a little shopping cart, I want to make sure they're putting beef in that shopping cart. We all do. Next up, let me see where I'm at. I was going to talk a little bit about promotion in the last year, Oklahoma Beef Council, through Google Search, YouTube. I said Google Display Ads, YouTube, and Connected TV. Our ads have been seen by Oklahoma consumers over 10 million times. And we do a lot with YouTube and Connected TV because it's a way for us to really target that consumer. They're heavily targeted to Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and we can get close enough to figure out which consumer is the most likely to have a purchase for beef, so we can target them. And so at over 10 million between those 3 platforms this year. And then next up is high school sports. We're in our 2nd year, and it's been a wonderful initiative for us. We're sponsoring the high school state championships for football, basketball, and softball. What's great about that is we're not only able to promote beef, but we're able to promote beef's nutrition to coaches, to high school athletes, and to the fans that are attending. We also have a sports nutrition game plan with 173 coaches that have signed up for it, in which they're learning more about how their athletes can incorporate high protein and really good eating habits, including beef, into the high school athletes. Next up, my last thing I'm going to talk about, we do a lot of work in nutrition. A lot of this stuff you guys don't see, but I'm going to tell you it's so important. And so just in one recent event, and I know it doesn't sound like a lot of people, but it was a big deal for us, we had a speaker that talked about complementary feeding of nutrient-rich foods like beef to 30 pediatricians. And we were able to do that because we've been working a long time to build those relationships with physicians. And then last step, to 200 nurse practitioners, we had the opportunity to talk about the importance of women's health, protein to women's health. So that's my update, and I just want to say one thing. If you guys haven't signed up for it, we have drivingdemandforbeef.com. We have the Drive newsletter. It goes out quarterly. So if you'd like to sign up for it, please visit drivingdemandforbeef.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you to these sponsors that just presented. We appreciate all your support. We also want to thank you to our complete sponsors who have generously sponsored all 9 fall gatherings. If a representative is in attendance, please stand so we can recognize you. Old Glory Hat Company, Oklahoma Steel and Wire, Great Plains Kubota, and last but not least, we'd like to thank our local companies, Farah Diagnostics, Thomas Fencing, Night Latch Group, and First Security Bank. Thank you all for your support. Now with the OCW update, I'll give it over to Mary Chris Barth.
I'm Mary Chris Barth, the Northwest representative for Oklahoma Cattlewomen. And we have organized this year. Our focus is legislative, promotional, and educational. It's made up of women who are either in production agriculture or who are interested in supporting beef. We go to schools. We work with outreach to teach people how valuable our beef product is. And I think one of the best things that's happened that we have a new collegiate chapter at OPSU and are delighted to have those ladies join us, and they will go into the business world, whether they're in agriculture as a producer or elsewhere, to support our product. So we would like for any of you to join us as we go through these legislative actions and then Beef Day at the Capitol the last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good evening. My name is Michael Kelsey, as mentioned a little bit earlier. Thank you so much for being out here this evening. We really appreciate you spending some time. Your time is your most valuable asset, so for you to spend some with us this evening and with each other, we greatly appreciate that. I do want to make a couple of quick introductions, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the issues that are impacting us right now. A couple of our staff members are here. Lori Campbell's, you'll hear from her in a minute as well, but most of you know her. She's our field rep for the western side of the state. Cassie Danielson's up in the back with membership. She checked you in as you came in, and also runs our Cattlemen's Leadership Academy. And then Hannah McElrath is with us as well, and she handles all of our association sponsorships and trade show and partnerships. So appreciate very much. We appreciate very much the opportunity to be with you. Kyle, we appreciate your leadership and in the northwest part of the state as well. Couple of things just to talk about, and Chairman Paskowski, I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to save the state issues for the second part. We're going to talk federal first, and since everything's going so smooth in Washington, we sure want to cover that first. And that's the best joke I've got for you all night, folks. If that doesn't get you, then I'm not sure I got anything in my pocket to help us chuckle a little bit. But then we'll come to the state, some of the state issues. So federal, there's 3 things that I'll share with you real quick on the federal side. One is nobody was talking about the price of beef about 2 weeks ago. Nobody was. And then there was a gentleman who was getting on a plane and turned around and said, price of beef's too high. We're working on that to bring it down for consumers. And we've got some plans to do that. And that started a mess, just to be honest. Then proposed imports from Argentina. Now I want you to think for a minute. If you want to reduce the price of beef through imports, then there's two things you can say. You can say we're going to reduce the price of beef by importing more product, or you can we're going to reduce the price of beef by importing more product from Argentina. That's two different statements. There was a big election in Argentina just a couple of days ago that our president wanted to support and show support to try to influence that election. That's not a conspiracy or anything like that. That's just how things work. Okay, we get it, no problem. Wasn't anything to do with imports, exports, etc. As a cattleman, I hate saying this, I don't like it, but we have to import ground beef. We don't produce enough ground beef domestically to meet the demand for the American consumer regarding ground. When you drive by McDonald's and it says over 1 billion served, they're not lying. The cheeseburger is the #1 menu item in this country at lunchtime. And we've got a ton of 50-50 trim from these wonderful steers that you all are raising. And you can't put a 50-50 trim on the grill and make a hamburger out of that. You're going to have a fire and a hockey puck by the time you're done. So you need some high lean to blend. That's what we import. We import high lean from countries like Argentina, New Zealand. I don't like that one bit. But I also don't want to lose the value of that 50-50 trim. And so we either need to start grinding up cuts that have a higher price as a brisket or a short rib and put it into ground. Well, that doesn't make, I went to Oklahoma State, and that doesn't make economic sense at all. I didn't play football at OSU either. And I think I could now, though. I didn't say that at all. I did not say that. So we either have to start grinding up things that have higher value and make it to ground, which lowers the overall value, or we've got to import it. I mean, I don't like that, but that's just the way the economics work. So we've been importing beef from, it had nothing to do with the imports. It had everything to do with the fact that he said, our product is too expensive. Your product is too expensive. With all due respect to a great president, no, sir, it's not. It's not too expensive. The consumer right now is telling us they love our product. Consumer demand is as high as it's ever been in 40 years. They love your product. Consumers will tell us when it's too high. We don't need the government coming in and saying we need to lower the price of beef for the consumer, because what will happen if we do that? Exactly what we saw for the past 2 weeks. We're going to lower the price of cattle, and that's not a good thing. So, with all due respect to the president, he's a great president for us on many different things, but he got this one wrong. But nonetheless, we needed to stand up. We needed to talk to him about it. The fundamentals are still there in the market, aren't they? We still have the lowest cow herd that we've had since 1951. We're not going to fix that in a year or two or three, maybe. We've still got incredible beef demand. The fundamentals of the market are there, and it's already starting to come back. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. I think we just have to hold. Just keep working. It might take it a day or two. It's probably going to take it more than that. Might take it a week or two. It might take it a month or so, but the fundamentals are still there. We can't generate cows fast enough to increase the supply of cows in this country. We have a biological system that takes 9 months for a baby calf. It takes 3 years to get a steer to mark to plate. What we ate tonight is almost 3 years. So it just takes us time to do that. So the fundamentals are still there. We're going to be fine. We're going to be great, as long as consumer demand stays high. The consumer will tell us when our product is too expensive. That's what we need. So we'll be all right. We'll be out of that. We're going to quadruple imports from Argentina. Our economists tell us it's going to impact the retail price of ground beef by about 6 to 8 cents a pound. This was never about the imports. It was never about the imports. Okay, fine. Let's move on. Let's keep going. We've got a good thing going with our industry. Let's move forward. Let's get beyond this. Let's get back to the fundamentals of supply and demand. We'll move forward. Second thing out of the federal government to talk about real quick: government shutdown. There's no end in sight. There's just not. I talked to 2 people from Washington today. I talked to Mr. Cole's office, talked to Mr. Langford's office. I don't see any end in sight. The Senate had voted for the 13th time on a continuing resolution that was passed by the Senate the last time we had this issue. So in other words, the Senate passed what they considered for the 13th time the last time. That means somebody didn't vote for this continuing resolution that voted for it previously. I'll let you figure out who that is, okay? But there's no change to what the continuing resolution was. So we've got to get the government open. You all know I'm sure you've heard what's about to happen come Saturday on November 1 regarding SNAP. SNAP, that's the food service, the food programs. Those are going to be unfunded. The rubber's going to hit the road on that for a while. It is. TSA workers missed their second paycheck this week. If you need to go to if you're flying anywhere in the next week or so, I would get to the airport way early, because TSA workers are going to start calling in sick. If they have sick leave, if they don't show up to the job, they get fired, even though they're not being paid. So if they have sick leave, they're going to start using sick leave. Air traffic controllers, they missed their first paycheck this week. So we're going to start seeing some of them call in sick. That's going to back airplanes up. The only reason I'm telling you that is that those are the types of things that will cause Congress to say, okay, we've got to pass something and fund the government. I think we've got to get past a couple of elections, though, in the next week or so. Plus, then, actually, if they would have renewed the continuing resolution, it would have expired November 21st. We're almost at November 21st. So they're going to have to jimmy with that date a little bit. I just don't see anything happening within a week. Some pundits say, oh, we'll see something next week. Well, maybe we will. But nonetheless, until they get the government funded and government back open, we're going to be in pretty much of a lock here for a while. Now, some of the programs that are important to us, meat inspection, in terms of packing plants and so forth, all that's essential. Those things are still being funded and so forth. So that's good in that sense. FSA offices are open. Those folks aren't getting paid, though. So they're open, but they're not getting paid. And so those types of things, we need the government to function. We just need them to pass a CR, and then let's get moving forward. Third thing real quick on the federal level to talk with you about is about 10 days ago, USDA released their playbook for what they're going to do when, not if, when we get the screwworm, when we get New World screwworm. It's really thick. It's way too complicated, and it's overbearing. It's USDA's first run at how to deal with this. Now, what USDA is doing is they're looking at this pest as if it's a foreign animal disease. It's a fly. It's not a virus. It's not a bacteria. It's a fly. It's not a good one. It's a bad one. If I were to ask a show of hands, there's probably some folks in here who lived through a little bit of it, who treated some cattle. I was talking to my dad about it the other day, and I don't remember treating cattle. I was around back then, but I don't remember. But Dad does. Dad was. He said, oh, yeah, I couldn't remember the name of the black goop. That's what he called it, goop, that they put on the navels. He said, but that's what we had to do, and we put off working cattle till after a freeze, so the fly wouldn't, for castration and dehorning and stuff like that. In other words, they just lived through it. They just lived with it. Wasn't fun, wasn't good, we lived through it. What happened? The sterile fly technology, we pushed the fly south, pushed it to the Rio Grande River, and then we helped Mexico push it to the Darien Gap. We did that 50 years ago. 60 years ago, and we haven't had to deal with it since. My point in sharing all that with you is, my opinion is we've got two choices with this fly. We either need to bear with it and live with it, or we need to use the same technology and push the silly thing back to the Rio Grande when it comes here, and then push the silly thing, help Mexico push it back to the Darien Gap just like we did before. My point in sharing all that is that if I shared with you the plan, and it's public, you can get it. If your operation is discovered with it, you become an infectious zone, and there's about a 20 kilometer distance around you. No animals can move out of that area without veterinary inspection, without a health paper, without individual animal identification, and they have to be cleared to be able to move. It's a fly. It's not a virus. It's not a bacteria. We can do this. We can do this. I think we're going to get the fly probably next year. think something's going to bring it in. I don't think the fly's going to move. When the northern movement in Mexico, almost every one of them, the fly hasn't moved. Something's moved the fly in. So the last two examples that we had, one was a heifer and one was a steer, I believe, in the Mexican feeder market. One was about 70 miles south of the border. The other one was about 170 miles. Those two calves were moved from the southern end of Mexico up to the northern end of where they had the feeding industry. So my point is the fly was moved. The fly didn't move itself. I think we pretty well may have the same thing. We're not going to have it with cattle because we're not going to open that border anytime soon. But there's a lot of people that come across that border, and there's a whole lot of wildlife that come across that border. So remember, this pest can infect any warm-blooded, and that includes birds. That's a little more difficult for birds, just to be transparent, but it can. Any warm-blooded critter. So I think it's going to move here, or excuse me, be moved here, not move here, be moved here, and then we'll have to deal with it. We get a robust, sterile fly production process going. We'll push it back to the Rio Grande, and we push it back to the Darien Gap, because I don't want to live with this thing forever. I don't know about you. That seems like the most reasonable thing to do, and in the meantime, let's make sure we keep commerce going. Let's make sure we keep cattle trade going, and so forth. We need to control it. There's no question about that, but we sure don't need to treat it like a foreign animal disease, my opinion, because I don't want to hinder what you all are trying to do, especially in the market we have. Okay, enough about I almost said foreign. Washington, it is foreign sometimes, I think. Let's talk a little bit about the stateside real quick. You've got the chairman of the House Ag Committee here in your district right here with us, and he's doing a fantastic job. Last year, he stood in the gap on a couple of really tough issues, Mr. Chairman, and we really appreciate you doing that, specific to property rights. Might not be specific to this country out here in terms of what we were talking about, spreading biosolids and so forth, but there's still property rights issues. And so for him to do that, that was really big. And to slow that thing down, that was significant. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We really appreciate that. Doing a great job. You've also got the chairman of the Senate Ag Committee that you live in. And Senator Murdoch couldn't be here this evening. I talked to him earlier. He couldn't be here. He had an interim study this morning, and then an event in Woodward that he had to get to, and just couldn't physically get here by 6 o'clock this evening. But great leadership that you send to the state capitol. Just real quick, I think we need to talk about a couple of the issues that I think are coming for us in the legislature, and then I want to talk two issues that are relative to you out in this part of the neck of the woods. I think we're going to talk some more about water. I think we're going to talk about water for a long time, Mr. Chairman, a long time. You guys sit over the top of the Ogallala. I don't have to tell you that. You're in a pristine condition compared to a lot of folks. At the same time, your water is extremely, extremely valuable. Groundwater is the only water you own. You do not own your surface water. Please do not throw rocks at me for saying that. That is not my opinion. That is state law. You don't own the pond water in your pond. The state owns that. You have access to it. You have right to use it, but you don't own it. And you don't. If you live on the edge of a creek or a river, you don't own that water that's running either. You can use it. You have access to it, but you don't own it. You do own the groundwater under your surface, and that is a property right worth fighting for, We're going to see a lot of discussion, a lot of issues around water for a long, long time. There are two entities in this state that are absolutely water deficient. One of them is in Oklahoma City, and one of them is in Tulsa. They don't have enough water. They need water. First place they're going to get it is gravity flow. That means north and west of them. And guess where Oklahoma City is from here? Southeast. That's why your water is important. That's why it's important. Well, that's not why it's important. That's why it's important to them. So that's why we'll have to be watching these being very actively involved in some of these water discussions. Property rights are going to continue to be an issue for a long, long time. Wind, solar, biosolids, all those types of things. There's many other types of property rights that we're going to have to continue to fight for and maintain and keep. Those types of issues will keep coming up and so forth. By the way, if you don't like wind, and I'm not here to try to tell you that wind is good or bad. we're pro property rights as far as OCA is concerned. We're not pro wind. We're not anti wind. But you want to kill wind, you got to kill it in D.C. That's where, and that's actually happening. So good, bad, or indifferent. Just telling you that's where the incentive for wind is what's driving that. So property rights, I think, are going to continue. Ad valorem taxes. So last year, our legislature and the governor's in his last year. We're going to start we've already started the silly season of the election in this neck of the woods regarding governor. Every constitutional office is open: governor, lieutenant governor, auditor, etc. So we're in the silly season. The governor's in his last term. Last year, he got his income tax cut. We're going to ratchet down the income tax until it hits to zero. It's going to probably take 20 years or more to get that done. We fought against that because for us as property owners, you eliminate the income tax and you're going to put tremendous pressure on ad valorem, on property tax. And so we pushed back on that. We didn't win that one though. So, but at least if we're going to do that, we're going to ratchet it down over a long period of time. Now there's discussion of property tax relief, which I love, and I'm going to champion for you to rein in property taxes. Now, how we do that, though, is going to be pretty critical. So we're going to have to be real careful. Governor DeSantis in Florida, what he would like to do is eliminate property tax on residents. That sounds really cool. Said nobody who owns ag land. Because if you eliminate property tax on residents and you keep property tax on everybody else, it's going to put more pressure on that property tax that stays in place. That's just going to put more pressure on us. So that's a bad idea. So Florida, keep your stuff in Florida. Don't do that in Oklahoma. We're going to talk about ad valorem. We've been talking about the income tax for 7 years before the legislature finally did something. We'll talk about ad valorem for 5, 6, 8, 9 years before we actually get something done. And that's not a bad thing in the sense of we want to make sure we do it right, because we don't want to push something else that'll influence us on the other side that's negative. Okay, 2 quick issues that are precedent that I want to share with you that I know some folks are talking about. Alan Shields is sitting down here. We created a task force for CLO, the Commissioners of Land Office, school land, last year, and started where I know there's a lot of CLO land out there, and Alan was on that and did a great job providing us some information. I don't have to tell you what the issues are with CLO. You know what those are. We want to work on those, and there's some ideas that we had, that one that we passed and got through, and the governor vetoed, and we overrode the veto, and that was specific to this. If you have a CLO lease and it's not fenced, which most of them aren't, and you put fence on it, who owns the fence? You do. You do. Well, if you lose that lease, who owns the fence? You do, until the guy who gets the lease takes the lease. Then he owns the fence. Well, I'm a good neighbor, but I'm not about building fence for somebody else and then leaving it. Especially if the guy who gets it is a hunter or a wildlife guy. And I abandon, well, I'm not going to abandon the fence. I'm going to pick it up. Well, pulling fence out that's just, boy, I hate doing that kind of, that's hauling water and pulling out fence. Those seem like some of the most wasted time, but very essential to do. So the bill that we passed, and Senator Murdoch carried it on the Senate actually and started it there and pushed it through, is that if they're specific to improvements on CLO land, then CLO will come out and they will assess those improvements, and then those improvements will be part of the bid for the next auction. So let's say there's a section of land that's fenced around, and the value of the fence is $20,000. Bear with me don't hold me to the number. But $20,000 is the value of the fence. Then whatever, if I'm bidding on that land, then I'm going to have to pay the bid that I get, plus I'm going to have to pay $20,000 to the guy who has the current bid who built the fence. If I don't do that, then I don't get the lease, even though I got the high bid. They'll turn right around and open the lease bidding back up again. And we think that's fair, because then if you put the fence on there, then if you lose the lease, at least you get compensated for the improvement that you did on the land. That's what we're trying to achieve. Besides all that, pulling fence out, putting in, pulling out, putting in, that's no good. We don't need to do that. So that's one thing. Another great idea, I think, to work on is before you can come to an auction, you have to have a letter of credit or something that certifies you can participate in that auction. That'll keep folks that don't really have an interest from driving the price up. We do that in private industry. The longer I've thought about that we do that in private industry all the time. A lot of times you have to have some type of proof that you're going to pay. I would bet Jeff would let you come in here and bid one time, and that's the only time you'll ever bid in his market if you don't intend to pay, or if you're not really a genuine buyer. We do it in private industry all the time, so I think that's reasonable. I think it's a good idea we can work on. So we're going to continue to work on some of those ideas regarding CLO. The thing we want to do with CLO is we want to keep it in ag production, and we want to keep it in the hands of ag producers specific to Oklahoma. That's our goal. That's what we're trying to do. Last issue to talk about real quick, and I know this one's come up just within the past week. It's called Open Pasture Road. So what this is that if you have land that has a county-maintained road that goes through it, it's got to be a county-maintained road, and it's not fenced. So it's what you and I might call open range. There is no such thing as open range in Oklahoma. We are a fence-in state in the state of Oklahoma. That's for the entire state. What that means is that by law, by statute, as livestock owners, we are required to fence in our livestock. If they get out, we can be, not necessarily will be, we can be liable. If somebody's driving down on the road, hits one of our cattle, we can be liable. There are instances, a lot of instances, where we're not. For instance, storm blows through, tree falls on the fence, the cattle get out. That's not negligent. It's an act of God. You're not liable in those cases. You're not liable. You lost your calf, but most likely if it got hit, but you're not liable for that. But when in these open range, or what we call in Oklahoma open pastures type systems, there's no fence. So we started looking at this about 3 or 4 years ago and realized, holy smokes, we got a lot of people that are coming out here. You guys have beautiful country. Did y'all know that? It's beautiful out here. You can actually see a comet out here because there's no interference of other lights, Or if there's a full solar eclipse, I can come out here and see it much better than I can see it. No, my point is there's a lot more people driving these roads than there used to be. And a lot of times these license plates on these folks are not necessarily local. And they're just driving down the road, and they don't know they need to be watching for the cattle. And they smack one, who's liable? Well, by law, we're a fence-in state. We got a problem. We got an issue. So it hasn't really been an issue until lately, as we've seen more and more folks traveling. So what we did last year, or about 3 years ago, is we came in and we created this open pasture system where you could apply to the county commissioners. You need to pay for the signs. The commissioner said, we don't want to pay for the signs. I'm like, look, we'll pay $200 for the sign if we don't have the liability. That's an easy deal. I'll trade you that real quick. So we got to pay for the sign. We've got to maintain the cattle guard, which we're already doing. And they'll still maintain the road. And it's an open pasture road. They declare it an open pasture road. We're free from the liability. The hitch is the deadline to sign up is November 1st. That's the day after tomorrow. We're going to fix that, okay? We advertised this when it was, but we recognize a lot of folks didn't have heard of it. You may have only heard about this just a week or so ago. So we're gonna work on that during the legislative session and either extend that deadline or wipe that deadline out. But what I would tell you this is if you're in that case right now, and this interests you, if you have country like that right now, again, remember it's a county maintained road. Then what I would encourage you to do tomorrow is call the county commissioner's office and start the application process for it. You don't have to finish it by tomorrow, but start the application process for it and get on that roll and start that process. I'm pretty confident we can move that through the legislature, but it is the legislature. Don't forget that. And it's the last the last session of a term-limited governor, of several term-limited legislators and so forth. So we got to be careful with that, but we'll work on that. But I would encourage you, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Give us a call at OCA. We'll walk you through that. But the main thing is, if that fits you and you're interested in it, give your county commissioners a call tomorrow and say, hey, I want to apply for that. I have a section of road that I would like to get in that open road designation and start that process. I'll stick around for a little bit. If there's any questions about that or any other issue, be happy. There's a lot of other issues going on, but again, your time's valuable, and so we want to honor that. We really want to tell you how much we appreciate you coming out. As Kyle comes up to finish us up here, and we've got some door prizes, etc., I do need to tell you one thing real quick is, in January, leadership of OCA said, hey, we need to look at our dues process. We haven't increased our dues in 20 years. OCA dues have stayed at $100 annual dues for more than about 20 years. Price of the light bill's going up. We all know that. And so they processed that in front of membership, looked at it at the May board meeting. At the July annual convention, the membership present unanimously voted to increase our annual dues to $150 beginning January 1. So beginning January 1, we will have a dues increase to $150. I share that with you. We just want to be transparent. We want to share with you. If you join now, you're $100 until next year. Your membership's on an annual basis. But most importantly, we want to earn your membership. It's about working hard for the cattle business, working hard on issues that are important to your business, whether it's property tax, water rights, trade, any of those types of things. We want to work hard. We're not going to agree on everything. In fact, I kind of hope we don't agree on everything, because then that'll give us an opportunity to vet the issue and find the best possible route to solve that fits everybody and works us all for the good of the industry as a whole. So I hope we don't agree on every issue. And sure enough, you put 4 cattlemen in a room and you're going to get 5 different opinions when you ask them, aren't you? Sure, we're an independent lot. But nonetheless, we want to earn your membership this year as well as next year, and we appreciate the opportunity to do that. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. I'll stick around and answer any questions if you have any. Kyle, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Let's give him a round of applause. All right, well, Michael kind of took the words out of my mouth, but no, it's good. So membership is very important. So if you all are interested, please be a member. And we hear your voice. We want to hear your voice. And in January every year, we have a policy meeting that sets our policy for that year. And everyone, if you're a member, is welcome to come, welcome to have input. And we do have some good discussions. So please, if you're interested, become a member and help us promote your way of life. Another thing I wanted to kind of promote was the CLA class. It's a Cattlemen's Leadership Academy class. Every year, it's about a 20-member class. We take applications from February to May. Membership is required to apply. And we're kind of loose on the age range, but about 20 to 40 years old, anywhere in between there. There's about 4 to 5 different sessions, and they go all over the state, touring different sections of agriculture, and getting to see different parts of the state, different ways that people do things, and it's very educational. I would highly recommend it if anybody's interested. It's a great deal. You get to network, get to meet a lot of fellow cattlemen in Oklahoma. So, and in fact, we want to thank Jeff and Jerry. They were here just a couple weeks ago, and they helped feed these guys and show them around and show them the area. So we appreciate that as well. All right, so now the fun part. We get to have some door prizes. So I will have, Lori come up, and we'll do some door prizes.
Again, I would like to say thank you to Kyle also for his leadership. I'm Lori Campbell. I am your Northwest and Southwest field representative. So my husband Jeremiah and I both live near Arnett, Oklahoma. So I'm Ellis County, but pretty pretty close to out here, and we like to visit, come out here and play in the Beaver Dome. It's one of my favorite places to play basketball. So without further ado, we are going to do some door prizes. Cassie has already done a random draw, so it's not because you're my favorite or because you're not that you did or didn't get drawn. First up, we've got Gail Creason. Next is Eric Williams. Janie Nine Robertson. Everybody's moved from where they were earlier. Did she leave? Okay. Steve Nix. Jean Reynolds. Oh, and we do want to say thank you to some of these door prizes come from the guys that had booths here. Some of them came from our other sponsors. Some of them come straight from OCA. And so thank you to everyone for their support of that as well. Larry Nixon. Corey France. Yeah. Up top, Michael. You might have to be like Jeff and throw it. Jared Noble. Yeah. David Harrison. It's over here somewhere. Edward McIntyre. Up top, way up high. David Brown. Okay. Chris Stedman. Oh, way over there by the big fan. Trent Petskowski. Adam Barbie. Rigged. No. I'm just kidding. Kyle hasn't even seen the list. So again, we just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know that it's always a great reminder to everybody at the office just how far it is to come out here, and we certainly understand that it's not the easiest to take a whole day out of your life and go down to Oklahoma City, but I will say also that it is super important. That's, like Kyle said, we set policy in January. We also set policy in July. Very important for you guys to be represented down there at the legislature, where they do make those decisions that affect all of us, which couldn't be more obvious in the past couple weeks. So Kyle had something else he wanted to say. I don't know if Jeff has anything else.
Just real quick too, again, I want to represent you all. So if you have anything, or Lori, or even down in the city, please let us know. Please contact us. Whether you're a member or not, we still have your interests in mind, so let me know, please.
Okay, I just wanted to add one thing to Michael's report on the screwworm fly eradication thing. There is only one plant in Mexico that still breeds the sterile flies, and it is about as far south in Mexico as you can get it. It's almost to Panama, and USDA has been proactive, and they are planning to build one in Texas, and they think they can have it built by 2026. So all is not lost if that thing starts moving its way up here. Maybe we'll have our plant in Texas built and get some more of these sterile flies put out. He mentioned one other little issue. He mentioned biosolids, and I'm just wondering if anybody even knows what a biosolid is. Biosolids is human waste that's been through a waste treatment plant Oklahoma City and Tulsa deal with that. We don't deal with biosolids here. The nickname for biosolids is humanure. What's been done for 50 years is spread on agriculture land. That's become not very popular in these suburban areas. Urban has met suburban, and some folks don't like smelly, stinky things that make flies come around. So there's some issues there, and that's what we're dealing with, and that's what that means when you hear the word biosolids, and when you start hearing that in the media. It probably won't affect us out here hardly at all, but it could if they stop us from, if they mess us up on our lagoons in our small towns like Beaver. We're the open lagoon style. We have a different setup for treating our waste. So anyway, that's what biosolids is, and all's not lost on the screwworm thing, on the fly eradication.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but the FDA did approve Dectomax as a treatment for screwworm. So again, they're making progress on all of these things. It's never as fast as we all want it, but for actual on-label use, Dectomax has been okayed for that. So again, thank you to the Slatton family, Beaver County Stockyards. And we just really appreciate them and their support. Yeah, exactly. Best days are ahead of us. Don't get hung up on the negative, guys. I mean, there's so many things to be positive for. Beef prices are still record high. I know they came down a little bit. They're still record high. So let's not get hung up on the things that, maybe like there's too much good for us to get hung up on the little bit of negative. So again, thank you everybody for coming out, and we certainly appreciate all of you.